Okay, so this is Lene. Lene claims that he or she has been inside of Umar Johnson's mother's apartment. Okay. Yeah, Lene, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a sister. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Okay, so what can you share with us based upon what you're claiming your experience of? I would assume you've dealt with Umar, or at least his mother.
I've dealt with both, and it's been probably about 2.5 years. So my first experience with him was I reached out to him, and was my son introduced me to his work. So I just sent him like I love your work, would like to work with you. I had a couple of things on the fire. It was some months. He got back and he asked me if I could do an event in my city, if I could put something together. My son, I told him he could have it because it was really his deal. But I helped him. I assist him because, my son is young or younger.
Okay.
So he's like in his 20s, early 20s. But we went up, picked him up from out of town and brought him back to our city. We put on an event, got to get to know him a little bit before when, we had a tragedy that befell. Afterwards, one of the orators, a small child, there was a tragedy that happened to him. It was a really bad situation. I took it hard. So the father unalived himself, the son, and the mother.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was bad. So we started. We were talking by the time he was leaving out of town. He wanted me to come to his room. I declined. I've never been like that. I declined, but we kept talking. For a back rub, so he said.
Okay.
And we just kept talking, just texting. I was trying to get to know him. He wasn't really my type. Like from my exes, he wasn't really my type, but I felt like, how he was a nice guy, maybe the geek type, and I needed to give it a try. I didn't know what the hell I was getting myself into. So time went on. We linked. After some time, he was when I met him, and I got to bring this up. When I met him on our first time linking, he was very mean. He was nasty. He was not anyone that I would ever deal with. I don't like mean men. He wasn't kind. He was not the person that I dealt with when we were doing the event. Almost to the point I almost called home and was like, I need to get the hell out of here. But he simmered down, and then I left. I stayed up there probably about 4 days, left, came home. We continued talking. And then I went back out again. I felt a little bit more comfortable. He kind of calms down when he sees that, he's kind of setting you, off a little bit. And I just kept going back out there. And eventually, we used to sit on the phone and talk. The one thing that hit me, like what Information Man was saying, that he's really correct. Everything that he said, I have told Umar, but his ego is so extreme, he doesn't listen. He doesn't read rooms quite right. He just kept giving me a vibe about him, but he never took it to the extreme that it went to. He called me, he said, I think we were on the phone for some time. We were like into the second hour, and he was like, I need help with my mother. And I was like, oh, okay. And this is unusual for him, because he does not, everyone that is around Umar is kind of like Umar. They're very catty. They're very mean temperament. Like, they have that mean temperament. So when he asked me that, I think that he thought I had an angle. I didn't have an angle. That's just, I've done that for my friends, not anything to this extreme, but I felt like she's an older woman. You know, he's trying to do something good. I wasn't giving him any money. So I said, you know, hey, it's a human being. Absolutely. I'll do that. It went from bad to sinister.
Mm.
He was very kind when I was coming out this time. Well, he was kind in bits and pieces, you know. You just
when
never
you
know
hold
with
on.
him. He's like
Yeah, hold on.
manic. He's
Yeah,
up
hold
and
on.
down.
Yeah, ma'am, when you say when you came out that time, when you say come out, you mean you're going to Philadelphia?
Yeah. I kept going from going back from where I am to Philly. I think
Okay.
this is probably like my 5th trip. So then I get there. I know everything. I get to the hotel. Um, and he comes to the hotel and he takes
Yeah,
care of
did he pay for the hotel?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
He paid for the hotel. And then where I work is kind of why I don't have the camera on, because I work for the government. I had to take time out of my schedule, you know, to go out there and help him. So I think this time, without looking at our back text, I think I was out there maybe 2 or 3 days, maybe. And I just was taking care of her. Like, I had stuff I hadn't even been able to do for my own mother. And he was nasty. He was just the nastiest, vile, like sinister person. He kept trying to reduce me in that space. It was like he needed me to, and then let me tell you, when I got to the house, he is not somebody that gives you full disclosure. So you're always feeling like you're on a fool's errand. You never get everything up front. Like, give me all the information up front. I can man myself. He's the type of person that feels like he needs to man you every part of the way. So when I got there, the home is not set up to care for her. The home is set up like he wants it. And it is exactly the way you described it, and only worse. I could not put anybody out. I couldn't put a dog in that.
Mm. Can you describe the home?
I'm sorry.
Can you describe the home?
Yeah,
Like
it's a very narrow. When you walk in, it's a very narrow town home. It's narrow on one side and has like a wider staircase going up the side. They're all connected, like what you said. They're rows. He let me know that when I came, I needed to be very quiet. He doesn't want the neighbors to know you're coming or going. He doesn't want anybody to know who he is or that he's living there, but he has his name bright as day on the Wi-Fi, which is like, that's like what I'm saying. He doesn't, his shit doesn't fire in a row. He doesn't.
Okay. When you say Wi-Fi, you're saying like if you're in the home and you want to access Wi-Fi, he has it listed under his name. It'll say Umar Johnson, whatever.
Well, it'll say one of his names he used. Like, there wouldn't be any reason why anybody would use that name unless they were them. You know, like in Philadelphia. Like, if you're walking, and this is a walking area in Philly, like if you're walking up the street to go to like one of their shops or something, you'll be like, oh my God, I just synced up with, you know, this person. Like, if you don't want anybody to know there, then change your damn Wi-Fi.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
That sounds like Umar.
Yeah, and everything is like that. Can you imagine him trying to set up your travel arrangements? Oh, I can tell you so much stuff. But let me keep on with this. Yeah, when you come into the home, it's in a disarray. It's just like, why is this in the front room? Why is this not here? There's a plethora of things. Like, he doesn't have one sink stopper. He has 20 of them. Like, why do you need, you only have one single sink? Why do you have 20 sink stoppers? So I'm a minimalist like you, Lenon. So I did a test box. And I put the sink stoppers except for 4, because I felt like I was going to minimize them down. I asked him 3 times, was he okay with me doing this? And he's like, yeah, whatever you need. Everything's cool when he needs something. So I put the remaining ones in a box, And then when he came back in, I think he went off to, this must have been the trip to Michigan. When he came back in the house, he was just on 10. And I was fighting you. And I was like, no, it's not drugs. It's not drugs. Lenon doesn't know. But he is on something. He's on something hard. Because he was like on 10 and we were in front of his mom and he was like, go sit down. I'm not going to talk to you. And I just went over there and sat down, which is not necessarily my personality, but you got to understand, I'm in a state I don't know anything about. I don't know anybody there. I had trust in this person, was going to be, level-headed. He's not level-headed. And it's just, I just did what he said. So going back to it, like the floors are really bad. You need to power wash them. I said, you need to power wash the floors. We need to, wash down the walls. I've come from a clean home. I keep home. So we got to wash down the walls. You can get a portable washer and dryer to put in the upstairs bathroom where I thought that tie-dye thing is. I think that that's the upstairs bathroom because when you go up the steps, he has a shrine room there. And it says ancestral spirits and it's a door. And I opened it, but I went around. If you go around that corner and you go to the bathroom is kind of like a stand-in bathroom. Yeah. And there's six chairs there. And then I think that tie-dye thing is over the shower rail. And then if you keep going straight, that's his room. His mother sleeps downstairs. So there is like one of those things that carry elderly up the stairs, but he doesn't use that. I think it's broke. She never goes upstairs. So yeah, the refrigerator was the problem. So he wanted me to give her like these 5-star meals, which I am more than happy to do for her, but he didn't have the type of groceries in order to fix the meals that you need to fix in order to give her that type of, So you could tell he was kind of like getting information from and buying food because none of the stuff matched. He had way too much food in the refrigerator. It was like, and then the refrigerator hadn't been cleaned in years. In years. I'm not exaggerating. In years. So the first thing I noticed is that he had like cleaner mixed in with her apple juice and her pineapple juice. There was like, it looked like how you go to a mechanic's, like a mechanic shop and you look at the floors? That's how the floor of the home is. And that's where there are all these cleaners. He doesn't buy one, he buys 10. So he's very, very bad with money. He doesn't know what to buy. He just buys everything. Like he doesn't have 1 or 2 cayenne peppers. He has like 30 of them. And then he doesn't have things that you're supposed to have. He has a huge thing, which he called me about this. It's probably about the size that you would put winter coats in, those big plastic container things full of just tea. And he called me. He was like, where is the tea at? What did you do with my tea? And I'm like, the tea's in there. How can it be missing? It's huge. It's bigger than the dining room table. What are you talking about? And just left it at that. I know this is not like all put together, but this is like off the top of my head. But he does have a cleaning service that picks up the laundry, and I was saying that. So I believe that they come and pick up the laundry. They fold everything up. It's in clear bags, and they bring it back. Okay. But there is an abundance still there. Her checks or her I think they're called diapers. If those aren't on correctly, she can have an accident. So there are times when I had to take her out her nightgown or change her bedding, and then you have to hang them in the back so that they can dry because there's no washing machine that you could just take it to and put it in. You know what I mean? So you won't get things piled up. it's just it's a bad situation. It's a really bad situation. And it just got worse. We got into, every time that I left, I went out there, I think 3 or 4 times to take care of her. She was fine, but she has dementia. And explaining dementia to someone, he's like, no, she doesn't have it. I'm like, yes, she does. And she has to be changed 6 to 7 times. So me and her are sitting there laughing and joking, and I get real sad because I'm like, oh my gosh, she doesn't even know why I have to go in and change her and make her upset, because she hates being changed. She will fight, she will cuss, she will, like, yeah, she gets upset. She does not want to be changed, but you can't leave her like that. And he has a camera up. It's a very obnoxious situation. It's not set up for the person taking care of her. It's set up how he wants it set up. It's just, everything's out of order. You don't know where it is. You're trying to hold the pull up on her, and then look for more wipes, because nothing is where it's supposed to. It's just complete disarray. So the last time I went out, he came in, I don't know, and he comes in sweating, snorting, going ballistic. Why isn't the dishes done? Why do you? So the last night that I was there, I didn't drop her, but she slid from the bed to the floor. And I'm like, oh my God, where are you? I couldn't get in touch with her. And that's another thing. You can never get in touch with him. You can't have a productive conversation. And I don't have that much experience. Let me tell you, this is not even my skill set, but I did the best that I could. But I'm trying to ask him questions like, where are certain things? And he doesn't answer the phone. It's like he's out. And then you'll see him on live, or you'll see him taking pictures or something. You're just completely out there with no help. And then he'll call you maybe the next day. So he left me there. I couldn't leave. I was in the house for 5 days in the filth. And I'm like, I can't do this. So as soon as he came in, that's the day that when she slid down, she was getting dizzy, and she was like, I want to sit down. I said, well, you can't sit here. So she just went down to the ground, and she's like my size, so I couldn't get her back up. So I had to call the ambulance, but I played it very good, because he doesn't want, when you open the door, you have to turn off the lights, you have to open the door, and you have to look out, and you can't leave the door open that long, because he's very paranoid about what goes on. You cannot let anybody in, and you cannot leave out of the house. So when the paramedics came, I just acted like, oh my God, my mom slid down. They didn't even take my name or her name. They just helped me get her up and get her back on the bed. When he came in at 2 a.m., he came in the house, walking fast, busting through. I'm sitting there. It's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Now try to think about this. I have been up with her every 6 hours. Not every 6 hours. I have to battle her 6 times a day. I'm tired. He's like, I'm about to put you on a plane. I said, do you know what time it is? And then he's like, well, I went up and I went outside, because I hadn't been out, outside. So I'll go outside. I'm getting fresh air, like trying to clear my head, because I know he's about to be a head case. And then I come back in the house. He's walking fast. He's like, you got your stuff together? You ready to go? Are you ready to go? You ready to go? I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, what's going on with you? He hadn't even took off his stuff. He had already wiped her, put a pull up on her, and he was like, are you ready to go? He said, and that's what ticked me. He was like, get off the phone, because I called my friend and I was like, he's here and it's about to be some mess. Now, mind you, no one knew that I was dealing with this man. They thought I was dealing with a guy, a quote unquote guy. So when I was coming out from outside, he was like, get off the phone. And I said, I'm gonna call you back. So I got off the phone. I said, don't talk to me like that. What do you need? Like, what is it? He's like, I'm about to put you on a plane. I said, well, it's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And he was like, do you have your stuff together? You ready to go? And I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Because at this time, it's 5. I've been in a house for 5 days. I'm willing to go anywhere. But he didn't say, hey, I know you've been, cleaning up somebody. You got urine and whatever else on you. You look crazy. You know, do you want to get yourself together first? None of that. He was just like, nope, it's time to go. You got to go now. I was like, okay. So I left and went through the airport looking crazy, smelling crazy. I've never went outside like that. And he didn't care. He was like, what are you upset about? I'm like, you don't realize what you don't. First of all, you didn't even want to talk about what happened. He didn't care that she slid down. That was like a big deal that he doesn't care. We've had other incidents. We just had so many incidents where he was like, I hope you don't have men in the room that I'm paying for. And I'm like, I don't have any men here because I don't know anybody here. And he's just obsessive. You know, he's very obsessive about things. He's very controlling about things. And then when you don't do what he wants, he cuts you, he basically stops talking, and then he'll pop up with something else. And it is, you know, it's just what it is. It's a mess. It's a mess. You can't ask him anything about anything because he doesn't want to talk about it. He was with the perfect person to get that school up and running. We never had a productive conversation about the school or about anything else that he was trying to do. When I talk to him, he says I'm catastrophizing things. I'm not catastrophizing things. I'm trying to get ahead of a problem. He likes to let things go until they fizzle out of control. When his daughter came out, I was at his house. I knew nothing because I'm not an internet person. I didn't know anything about it. And he was like, well, you know, my daughter outed me this morning. And I said, well, what are you going to do? And he's like, I'm not dealing with it. I said, oh, you got to deal with it. Something's wrong. Something's very wrong. His anger is, and his followers have made him like that. He doesn't care about them. They called from the time when I used to come up and visit. They would call, they would text, he smacked his teeth. He'd be like, I'm not dealing with that right now. He'd get into it with people. He's been in so many altercations or has so many issues with people. It's just unreal. It's unreal. He's a liability. He doesn't keep you on your toes. I didn't know if the family was going to show up at the house when his daughter came out. You know, I'm calling him back. I'm like, what do I need to do? And he's just like, he doesn't care. You know, if anybody, his brother could have showed up, anybody could have showed up. He doesn't care. That's him.
All right. Well, there's a lot of questions in the chat. Do you mind answering a few of these?
Yeah, I can't see the chat, so I'll go back in there.
No. I've been typing them out. Okay. So the first question, well, this is a question I want to ask, just so that we have clarity on this. Were you intimate with Umar? Was it like a relationship thing?
Yeah, I didn't want to marry him. He wanted, I don't know what he wanted, but he wanted me to have a baby, and I don't want that. I didn't want anything with him like that. It was just supposed to have, you know, be fun. You know what I mean? And I didn't know he lived like that. I didn't know he acted like that. None of that stuff. It didn't get really bad until I got to the house. Once I got to the house and he said, you with me now? And nobody else has been to I don't want to say that level, like it's somewhere to aspire to, but nobody else had gotten that close to him. So I think he thought something else was going to happen that wasn't.
Okay.
He wanted us to rent a house together, and I was okay with that on a roommate situation because they had a dual serve, but I couldn't deal with him. I felt like if I got him to a clean environment and I could set the house up, he would be more productive because clearly he can't run a household on his own.
Yeah. Yeah. How long did you know him? From the time where you met him until, I guess, the last time you were there to help out with his mother?
So December the 23rd, no, I'm sorry. December the 3rd was the event. So I knew him probably since November of 2023, I'm sorry. Okay. All the way clear up to, well, he knows now.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many times did you go out there to Philadelphia?
Oh, I want to say maybe about don't hold me to this, y'all, but probably about 6 or 7 times for him.
Okay, and he paid for the airfare each time?
I paid for some of my airfare, but he would buy dinner or whatever else.
Okay, and then what about because then you said he had you in a hotel room?
Yeah, when it was on his mother, he paid for everything, even my phone bill.
Oh, okay, okay. So was there at any point did you actually stay like sleep at his mother's place?
Yeah, I stayed there. These were times when he was out of town, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and why did you decide to take care of his mother? Because that's a one thing. It's one thing is you're dealing with Umar. He bringing you out, you in a hotel, but it's another thing to actually take care of his mother. Why did you decide to do that?
I think that's just how I am. Okay, so this is gonna sound corny, but I am a single mother. I know what it's like to not have like unconditional support. And I felt like the school wasn't getting done because he hasn't had anybody, because he's always talking about haters and all this other stuff. I felt like he didn't have anybody that was there that was just riding for him unconditionally. And I just felt like that was one way I would be able to help out unconditionally. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not, I mean, I've babysitted my friends' kids and stuff like that. I'm not above the ask. I'm just not a home health aide.
No, I understand. Now, Umar, he is on record saying that he wanted a woman, or he wanted queens, like 2 of them, that would help take care of his mom. I actually have him on record saying that years ago.
Yeah.
So what you're saying here, I'm not surprised by it at all. I'm not saying that it's
capable of
100%. Yeah, I understand that, but I'm not saying that what you're saying here is 100% factual, okay? Because I haven't vetted enough. But I will say that what you're saying is consistent with what Umar has actually said in terms of the type of woman that he wants. He wants a woman that's going to not only take care of him, but take care of his mother.
Yeah.
Another question was, what was the longest period of time that you stayed there to help his mother?
Oh, I think I stayed there 5 days when he was in Switzerland. I think I was there for about 5 days. And then I've been there, in hotels, and like he'd have me come for one event, and then I'd stay in a hotel until, the next event, because it would be pointless for me to come back to my city.
Okay.
I thought I was giving him enough time to vet out. I understand how delusional now. I got it. But at the time, I was thinking that he didn't have time to vet women out, and I didn't want him to get someone in a space that was going to do harm when I was a supporter. You see what I'm saying? I felt like I knew what I was about, and he knows I'm trustworthy. That's why he put me with his mom. But he knew I was a good-hearted person. I'm a good person. But I was really, really lost under a delusion.
Yeah, you believed in him.
I did. I did. I sacrificed my job. Like I said, I worked for the government. I did an event. I had people coming from my job, and I don't just work for, I work for a part of the government. We have to be kind of above board with who we deal with. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Another question is, well, this is dealing with the actual space itself.
Uh-huh.
Based on my research in the floor plans, there's only one bathroom upstairs. How does the mother get upstairs to use the bathroom?
She doesn't. She uses a porta potty that's by the bed. The mom never goes upstairs. She never goes upstairs.
I figured that.
The stairs are really high. They're they're like wide and very steep. Like I had to keep this. Yeah. But there's
so
2.
sad.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I apologize. Go ahead.
I think it's just like the feedback. But there's 2 rooms that are upstairs. One room, I believe, is his shrine. I looked in it, but I didn't go in it because it didn't look right. It didn't feel right. And I just didn't go in there. I felt like that was his space, so I didn't go in there.
Do you think that the mother needs assistant, what they call assistant living? This is a question that someone had asked. Assistant living, or she needs to be in a nursing home?
He won't do it though. She needs to be in something that calms. She needs some help with being calmed because she is confused about why you are changing her and the reason why you're doing this to her, and you can explain it to her, but she doesn't understand. She does. I think that around people that are skilled in that would serve her better, just for her nerves. I could have handled, working with her. It's just the fact that it was upsetting her. We're laughing and joking at the television, and I'm like, "Are you wet? Do you need some help with being changed?" And she's like, "No," and I'm like, I think you do." So, and then you have to put her through that all over again, and he's just like, he's numb to it. He's numb to it. And I don't, that's a lot of a liability for me. If I would have put too much pressure on her or anything, that's a liability for me to keep. And that's what I was trying to talk to him about, like help him see some reasoning. He doesn't. He got into it with the agency that sends her nurses because they were trying to tell him the same thing. If I look through my text, I could probably find the lady's name, but they fell out. And he was like, "I'm done with him," and I cut him off. And I'm like, "Yeah, you can't do that because they're a part of her health plan." He doesn't care. Then he accused me of taking the rental car keys. I was like, "Umar, I don't do stuff like that. I don't know who you've been dealing with, but I'm not that type of person. No, I didn't take your rental car keys. They're somewhere in the house." I think he gets high and he forgets what he locks up, what where he puts things. He gets out of it. And then that's when the fighting starts.
Yeah. Has he ever been aggressive towards you, or verbally or physically violent towards you?
He's just verbally abusive. He's he's smart, but he's verbally abusive. He can cut you down with his mouth. He gets nasty. I don't think anybody has, what him and Seti, what happened between him and Seti? That was him like at 5. And then you're dealing with a man who has super issues with his mother, and me being in a position to take care of his mother, and you can't talk to him. He's like, it's midnight. Why is my mom up? And I'm like, she's on her own cadence because you have not set up anything so that she can have a routine. He's like, turn off the light because he could see from the camera. I'm like, she stayed up last night all the way till 3 a.m. She's gonna be up later tonight. What do you want me to do? I can't be like, close your eye. He's just aloof to certain things, and he doesn't listen. So that would trigger him to blow up because he's thinking you're trying. He even told me, he was like, give me a hug because I don't want you in here hurting my mom. And I'm like, who the hell do you think I am? I don't need this space. You need help. I don't need to be here. If you feel like I'm going to do that, send me home. I would never do that to anyone. I'm not that type of person. So that put me in a space of a liability. I was talking to my best friend. She was like, yeah, no. Because, he can get weird and he'll hurt you about his mom. And I was like, yeah, I'm starting to see that. But he kept calling me back out to take care of her.
How did he treat his mom? Did you observe him in his treatment verbally and in terms of taking care of her? How did he treat her?
Directly, he treats her, very good. It's a very kind of, in my opinion, kind of like, I don't want to say like with the sexual innuendos, but it's very Norman Beatty. It's not, if you have a healthy relationship with your mother, it's over the top. It's really over the top. And I was like, well, she needs a sliding board because I can't lift her, because I was doing research on how to take care of her. And he was like, anything from mom, anything that she wants. And I was like, okay, well, then she needs a sliding board. And we need to start cleaning up this damn house, because if I fix her food out of that refrigerator and she gets like E. coli, she's like a baby. She, that could really hurt her. He said, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. Were there roaches or anything like that inside of the home?
I didn't see anything like that from the time. The only thing that I saw were the flies, and I attribute that to like if he was doing sacrifices, and if you're not cleaning up properly, that could turn into something else.
Okay,
But I
what did
never.
you see? What did you see dealing with this sacrifice stuff? I know you said you looked and he had a shrine or something like that. Did you see anything else?
I didn't. I know that there was some stuff on the back patio. So he was doing something out on the back patio when I was going out there. He was doing his sacrifices, maybe out there.
Okay, what did you see? So you're saying you didn't see him doing any sacrifice, but you said something was going on that was, I guess, I don't know
Yeah,
what
because
we
it's
would
like
call it.
winter and you have flies. Like, what is that? I don't understand. Like, these are the colder months. Why do you have tape up hanging from the ceiling? Or, there's flies going around. Like, there's something somewhere not right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it could be just because he hoards. You know what I'm saying? It
That
may not
too.
necessarily be that he's sacrificing. It could be that, and he may be because he's talked about doing sacrifices in the past. But
Yeah.
it could just be just all the the living conditions themselves, the filth and stuff.
Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
Ifa too. So on the back patio, it just seems like he was trying to do something out there, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. I mean, and it could have been something small. It could, I don't know. I don't know. But I never saw anything like something that needed to be properly disposed still sitting out, if that makes any sense.
No, I understand. Did he pay you, and how much? If he paid you, how much did he pay you?
He did not pay me regular, but he paid me for like one sitting. It was like 1,200.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then how did he pay you? Did he give you cash? What was it?
We did Apple Pay. We did Apple
Mhm.
Pay.
Okay.
Or no, it wasn't Cash App at that time. It was Apple Pay because he sent me a text. Yeah, it was Apple Pay.
Okay.
But
Did she,
oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, just like a lot of the stuff he says that his followers believe. Like he celebrates. He got me Valentine's. He said he got his mom Valentine's. He celebrates. He watches. He's a normal person. When he goes on things, he turns into. It's kind of like Beyonce says she turns into Sasha Fierce.
Fears.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
when he gets in front of cameras and stuff like that, he turns into a different person. Just like that girl that said she had lunch with him. She said that he was real quiet. That's how he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's quiet but he has a very slick mouth. Like he'll say something like, "Oh, you'll bump your knee and be like, oh my God, that hurt." And he was like, "Why would you be so stupid?" It's like it's constant things like that. And his mom would say a lot of things when I was taking care of her, like he calls her
Yep.
So I would call her and she would say things like, "I broke his thumb," and I was like, "You broke his thumb?" And then I was looking at his thumbs. I'm like, "Why does his thumb look like that?" And then she calls him Blackie. But I don't know if that is something that is an inside thing, but that's what she calls him. She was like, "Here comes Blackie." And she was like, "He's so fine, but he's conceited." So she's kind of there, but she's not, you know what I mean? When it's time to change her, she gets fighting mad, and it hurts your heart, because you got to do it, but she just gets fighting mad. And then she's said a lot of stuff. Like her birthday is in January. She repeats her birthday a lot. You can tell she was a very intelligent person. But she's going through dementia. He sees her having dementia as her having a weakness. And I'm like, that's not a weakness. I don't think he has any plans of going to Africa. I know some people were wondering, is he going to take and sell the school? He's going to run off to Africa. He said that he didn't want to take her there because of malaria, for her, a chance of her getting malaria or something. So I don't think that's the end game for him, but He's yeah, we'll be here
Okay,
all day. It's like so
well,
many.
listen. Yeah, let me say. I have a whole lot more questions. How much time do
Oh
you have? I
yeah,
want to
go
use.
ahead. I'm sorry. I'm just
Okay,
rambling.
no, no, it's perfectly fine. I just want to respect your time. Um, did you ever try to get help dealing with the mother situation? Because it sounds like it was really, really bad.
He did not want me to. I asked him. I said, I have this girl that I work with. I trust her with my kids. Um, I said she's taller because I'm not that much bigger than his mom.
Mm-hmm.
She's taller, she's kind, I trust her, and she's quiet, you know. And he was like, I don't use people I don't know. He was just he kept telling me nobody has been next to my mother. Nobody has been next to mother. And I'm like, you know me, you know, I'm going to take very good care of this woman. I take very good care of you. So just leave it be. Don't stress it. I think I don't know what his problem was, but no, I couldn't get any help from anybody. He didn't want nobody in the house. Even if there were packages, he was like, open the door, get the package, and hurry up and shut and lock the door and turn on the light. Don't talk to the neighbors. Don't talk too loud. I couldn't have certain conversations unless I had them in the bathroom. And that's why I said also, I think that he was in the bathroom. He doesn't talk all around the house on the phone because the walls are very thin and the people next door, he said, I don't know if they know who he is or they don't like him or he's already been into him or something.
Yeah, I would think that they would know that he's who he is by now, though, because I mean, he's been there since what, or at least 2020 was when we first started seeing him inside his mama's house.
Yeah.
That's about 5 years. I'm sure they probably, if it's the same residence, there could be people moving in and moving out.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
even at the hotel, he was like, when he came to the hotel, people knew who he was. And then they were like, I think that even the workers, they kind of got used to me. They knew who I was there with. So they would
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, do certain things. Like I would get certain things. But he thinks he's in hiding or something with ball caps and hoodies. But, you know, people know who he is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What about the apartment itself? Did it smell?
It did. You get used to it. You get used to it.
Yeah. What did it? I mean, if you can give it I don't know how you would
It's
classify, but what?
indescribable. It's like, oh my God, it's indescribable. It's really bad. It smells like, it doesn't even smell like old people. It smells like a mechanic shop, and baked bread. But he has a lot of food like open, like there's just a ton of food in there. It's a ton of food, but it has a very stale type of smell to it. It's indescribable. And I can't just everything, all of the product, all of it is, it's like he doesn't have one bottle of deodorant. He has like 30 bottles. And it's with everything. It's a massive, massive amount of stuff. It is a massive amount of stuff. I can't, it's like it's like they're living inside of a storage unit.
You know, Umar has a history of that, though. Anyway, he really does.
Yeah, he put me on the thing to do the furniture for the school, and he was like, "Well, we just go to Big Lots and we'll get some furniture." And I'm like, "No, Umar, you can't buy furniture for a commercial building from, like, you have to get high traffic furniture." And he's like, "Why? Why do you have to?" He just doesn't have common sense. That man does not have common sense. God gave a rock. He is not an intelligent person. I had to tell him, you can't use bleach in the school. Why can't I use bleach in the school? Because you can't use that on some commercial, surfaces. It'll turn it yellow. I hadn't been in there, but I was trying to tell him he wanted to get scouring pads, the sand down plaster on the wall, and I'm like, no. You can't do that. Most people understand the integrity, of the scouring pad. It's gonna unravel. He just doesn't have common sense.
You know what? I'm thinking about this. Years ago, I used to see someone posting, I think it was on King Kong Consciousness, the YouTube page. They were posting comments like, Umar, he's a controlling of his mother. He keeps her in this apartment, and she's sitting in her own feces, and he won't let anyone see her. Was that you making those comments? This was years ago.
No,
Oh, okay.
because I just
All right.
got to the mom this year. But I will tell you that he was telling me when he came to the room, we were supposed to go out to dinner, and I didn't want to go out to dinner. I limited my time with him because he's abused. I mean, his mouth is atrocious. And he was like, "You want to go out to dinner?" And I was like, "No, I just rather, just stay inside. We can get something to eat." And he was like, "Well, after we had woke up, he was like, you're the only person that can get my mom healed, like her bottom healed, because she had, I don't know if they were decupulous ulcers, but they're,
Oh,
like,
Lord Jesus.
Where, like if the skin starts to break under urine,
Mm-hmm.
and I would just clean her up. And I told him these baby wipes, we need to switch from the alcohol. Let's try to get her one of those bathtubs, the portable bathtubs.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we can just put it up to bed. We can bathe her right there. That way she doesn't have to do bed baths. And then we can get those large wipes that they use in, I'm trying to find the words because it's not my career field, but they have larger washcloth like wipes that you can use on bedbound people. And I said, we can use this. And he's like, no. Anything that I gave to him, he would like shoot it down. If I tried to send him something where we can turn her easier, and he didn't want to buy that. Anything that I came up with, he shot it down. I have been trying to let people know that he is a bad person, but nobody will listen. They won't listen.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my earbud went out.
Oh, you okay?
Was he ever abusive towards? Oh, I already asked that question. Is anyone else helping? Sisters, brothers? Because he has a lot of siblings. Maybe even his dad.
They fight, so they can't be. There was a funeral for, I guess, his aunt Sheila. He called me. Was like, should I get security? And I was like, well, trying to give him advice on that because he doesn't read situations well, but he doesn't listen to you anyway, so it doesn't matter. I said, well, if you go with security, they might take that the wrong way. He was like, well, every time we get together, we fight.
So get security for what? He's safe from siblings?
Yeah, they fight. Oh, them some battle cats, Lenon. Oh, they fight.
So he was asking you about security.
Yeah, he was like, do you think I should get security? And I'm like, on your siblings? And he was like, yeah, I don't want to be, every time I get near them, we get into a fight. And I was like, they might take that the wrong way. If you show up to a funeral, they might take that as hostile. And maybe you might want to reach out and, check the temperature a little bit. He didn't want to do that. And then he don't give you like a follow-up, like, oh, went to the funeral where, everything was great. So, and if you ask him, he's like, you're in his business. Like, dude, you brought this to me. I'm trying to, I don't know. It's crazy. He's off the chain. But pretty much everything he'll come to you with if he trusts you.
Did you ever see him with kids?
I did at the event.
Okay. Did you ever see him?
Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I kind of, how you kind of gauge if a man is good or whatever. Kids kind of weren't going ballistic with him. So I was like, oh, he might be a good person. I've never seen him reprimand a child. I know my son stayed in the car. He didn't want to have anything to do with him. Not the one that was putting on the event, but my other son, that is kind of the reason I even reached out to him a little bit. And I could never talk to him about my son. So I took care of his mother, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe we're at a level now. And I said, hey, I'm having a little bit of a problem with my son. It's kind of like if you're a mechanic and you got to check engine light, or you're dating a mechanic, you got to check engine light. You naturally might ask them, what, to diagnose the problem. And he didn't have no words for me. So I was like, then this is pointless for me. Even this is kind of what solidified he was not a husband material. So I'm like, oh yeah, then that's cool. We could live together on a roommate situation, because my son he's in his teen and he was going to his dad's. I said, yeah, we could live together on a roommate situation, but you're not a possibility for me.
Why did you keep going back? Because obviously you probably identified some problems initially when you went out there, let's say the first couple of times. Why did you keep going back?
Because I think, kind of like you are, Lenon, you know how you get to points where you get compassionate because that's just what you are. I think that's why I felt like if I can just prove to this guy I'm not here to hurt you or to harm you, he will because he kind of makes you feel like he was brought up under strategy or really bad pretenses. And maybe he just needed somebody, a good-hearted person to kind of like lay everything down and not to open up or anything, me to, get closer, get at him, just so that we can move forward. And he doesn't have that ability. He sees it as weakness. So when you feel compassion for taking it easy, you have to remember he is a type of person to be like, yeah, he is a sucker. You know what I mean? Like, he won't ever see it as like, oh, thanks, man, that's good looking out. He's going to be like, oh, yeah, you a sucker. You should have went for the jugular. That's the way his mental, I don't know if that's his dad in his ear or his mother in his ear, but he is just not somebody who takes, this is kind of why I stalled him out for this long. When Anissa came out, y'all don't understand how much that broke me. I have a daughter. And his cold disconnect, and even when he sent those people to his baby mother, you don't know if your daughter is with her or not. He sent people after me. He doesn't care. And he doesn't care. I've pled with him, get people out of my space, He doesn't care. So I just decided I'm going to have to go to war with him. That's the only way I'm going to back him up. He's like one of them people that if you, oh, yes, okay, yes, absolutely, anything you say, he'll keep on. But if you say, hey, I said don't do that, he'll back up. And that's kind of why I came in the house and I was like, don't talk to me like that. And then he piped down. But you can't go easy on him. You can't go easy on the things that he said about these people when they've called in with issues about their children. He has no compassion for it. He sees you as weak. And it's another reason why I never took any problems to him about my son. That man has none of my personal information. And if he did, he's in trouble because Tig has already tagged my stuff. I mean, it would be dumb. I knew what I was dealing with, so he didn't pose a threat to me. Only reason why I didn't want his people in my space is because I guard other people's private. He's not the only known person I deal with, and he sends people into my space. You are opening up for other people's information to be bothered, and I didn't want that. So he just didn't pose a threat for me. But he works my damn nerves. And then the black psyche is so fragile. They wanted this man to be Martin or Malcolm, and he's not that person. Everything the information man said is absolutely right. He is playing a character. He gets off of there, he eats chicken nuggets. And he's not anything. He wants to be worshipped. And that is literally how, even when I made up my mind, I'm done dealing with them, I even still was going back into the space because I wanted access to him. because I was like, nobody is going to believe this unless they see it. And I was going to get him. But I decided this was a better way because he's not going to let me in the space. I've already shown my hand.
Well, it's better that you're not dealing with him anymore anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just real talk. So are you saying, to the best of your knowledge, his siblings aren't helping with the mother, or are you saying that they want to, but Umar won't let them?
I think he's using her as a pawn. The same way he claimed that those baby mothers were doing his kids, he's doing that with the mother. Because why can't you tap in with any of the children to get help with taking care of her, you know? That does, and why hasn't the family come forth about it, you know?
Do you have plane ticket proof that you can send me?
Yeah.
Okay. What about hotel receipts? Anything like that?
Oh yeah. Okay. He knows I got I got a lot of proof on Umar Johnson. I think that's probably what stalls him out on me.
Now, did you ever see Umar use any substances, like illegal substances or controlled substances, or any alcohol?
No, he is too paranoid for that. But I do know he wanted me up out of them spaces real quick. Like, you don't have no time. I could barely get my shoes on. He wanted me out of those spaces very quick, but only to meet up with me later on that. So it's not me. You know what I'm saying? It was, he needed me. I don't know I don't know what his thing is, but I know that his behavior is erratic, it's manic, it's not normal. And even the way when we're texting sometimes, this is not you being busy, this is something else. You're off doing something else. I think I even have a text where I text my son like, hey, you're gonna have to send somebody, you know, to pick me up from the airport, because I think he's on something. You know, this was the first time we met. That's how much his behavior shifted. And like, you sitting there sweating and breathing hard like a bull. Like, what's wrong with you? I don't understand that. Like, you about to tackle me any moment. I don't know what's wrong with him.
Yeah, is this the first time that you've expressed publicly your experience with Umar?
Yes.
Yep. What made you decide to do it now?
His daughter.
Okay.
His daughter. That's all. I asked him, you let me take care of your mother. I asked him, I said, please let me get Anissa. Let me bring her where I am. I can help her out. I can get her together and I could give her back to you. This isn't about trying to clout off of whatever story she has for you. We weren't in any space like that. We're here. He knows why we're here. But I was trying to earnestly help her, and he knew that I was the person to get her to if he was really trying to help her, and he didn't want it. And that's your baby, that's your daughter. And when she got in that fight in Philly, and even when she checked into the mental hospital, I'm like, that's your profession. If you can't even show up for her as her father, you can't show up for her as a clinician. Yeah. You know, that's a disconnect. I know I ain't got nothing coming. So yeah, I'll go to his neck.
Yeah, real quick, just for clarification purposes, when did you first start dealing with Umar? Meaning when he came out, and then when was the last time you dealt with Umar?
I gotta look at the phone records for that. Let me see. I've been spazzing on him since probably about all month. He sent me the last text I got from him. What day is this? I can't even see because I done put all these notes. Was it June 17th? Well, June 17th, I had an issue about someone sending me a threatening text from 215 number, 215s, 267s, all of those. I keep getting people texting me, threatening me. And he said, not my people, random men you meet, which is, people know me, know that's not true. The very first time I dealt with him it would have to have been in maybe November without me. I've been texting this man's like 50 texts a day for, I mean, we just talk on text. That's literally how we talk. Maybe 2023, and I've probably been out there. The event, I know that the event, you've used some of the footage from the event. That was December the 3rd. And then
And what event was that?
it was an event in my city where he came. He wanted to do a book thing, a book signing. We did an event, and I offered the space really to Black vendors. I was trying to get them in a space so that they could sell some of their merchandise. So we had an event that was December the 2023. So since 2023 up until June the 17th, and I cut it off 2 days after that. I've been trying to get in touch with you, Lenon. I sent you a couple of, but they've been from random things because I was trying to keep him off of my trail, but I've sent you a couple of emails. I don't think that you got them though. Because some of the screenshots are in there.
Someone that asked too, did Umar ever ask you to sign timesheets for caring for his mother?
No.
Okay, so it was just he asked you to do it. You decided to do it. He did send you. I think you said $1,200.
Yeah, I have a few payments for $1,200, one for $6 something. I even offered to take care of her for free.
Yeah. At any point, did Umar or did you take her to the doctors to get checked out?
No, I never left the house with her, and I wonder about how often she leaves the house. Because I was in there 5 days. I was about to pull my hair out. I was in the house 5 days, and I don't know if she left the house anytime after that. That's a long ass time to be in the house.
Yeah,
not your house, maybe not my house.
No, I understand what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, does he have power of attorney over his mother?
Yes, he does. He has to for some of the things. Like he takes her to. That's why when he sent me the text, and I have that in case he tries to say that never happened. He sent me a text claiming that I stole the car keys and he can't leave because his mom has a doctor's appointment. But you never know what's a lie with him. He lies so much. He lies so damn much. He sent me a text telling me he wasn't going to be back on time, and he forgot that he had already made an excuse previously for why he wasn't going to be back on time. So and here's another thing. I don't know if this is from flying around all that. He needs to go and see a neurologist because he does not remember things. He ended up going off on me, and I was like, Umar, you were in Massachusetts yesterday. I was at the hotel, and he was like, where were you yesterday? Where were you? I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, I don't know where you were. Yes. I was like, you were in Massachusetts yesterday. He's like, oh, yeah, I was. We've had incidents where if somebody wanted to get pregnant by him, they absolutely could. Because I have had to be the person to keep track of things with him because he just doesn't care. So he probably does have kids out there.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. What do you mean by that, though? That he could get people pregnant? What were you saying there?
I made sure that I was I'm very proactive about my health anyway, but I made sure that I took care of certain things. I won't go into detail, but he forgets. He just forgets. And I'm like, what if this is one of those randoms, like that girl that came to Savannah and threw the bag at him? She absolutely was with him because, and I know that I was looking at the footage because I was in the bed with him. And I said, that's so sad. She's telling people to get these penises out of her face. It's almost like she's having a traumatic experience. And he's laying there just knocked out sleep. And I'm like, hey, get up, get up, get up. Did you see this? Did you see the footage of them dragging her out? Why did you let them drag her out like that? You know, if you weren't with her, like, hey, y'all, take it easy with her. They're falling all over her. It's still a woman. And he just didn't want his cover to be blown. And then when I seen the stuff happen with his daughter, and I seen how he treated the girl Anaya X, I was like, yeah, this is you. This is you. This is you. You messed with this girl. And I was on the phone with him in Savannah. So he must have got off of the phone with me, let this girl in, and then was messing with her. Telling me that he was, and I'm not trying to make it out like he was messing around on me or anything, but he just lies. He lies a lot. He'll tell you to pull the hotel footage, and yeah, nobody's going to do that. You're nobody that they're going to keep hotel footage. That stuff goes on a loop, you know. And then I don't know, I can't say for definite, so I'm not going to speculate, but I think he knows where that money went. I know he knows where that money went. They need to investigate. They need to figure it out. He needs to stop accepting donations.
Yeah, I agree. I have to ask, since you were intimate with Umar, he does have some issue going on with his lip. Yeah. What would you say to that?
I've already been on it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I went and took as soon as, but I heard about that from Hidden Figures. I ended up telling my girlfriend, when I told you I was on the back talking to, I ended up telling her who it was that I was talking to. And she was like, girl, he had a bump on him. Mind y'all, please listen. I knew nothing about Umar prior to the day that I went and picked him up in Nebraska. I knew nothing about this man. Only little clips and stuff that come across my feed. I never went back. I took everything that he told me at face value because I, like most women, assume this man is educated. He has things to lose. He's not going to lie to me about certain things. I never went back and investigated anything with him. I took everything he told. I didn't even know about the conscious stripper until we actually had linked up. And I'm telling him, I'm talking to him in text. He can literally tell that I don't know anything about his past. I didn't know anything about Tip the Grip. I didn't know nothing about none of these people. And he didn't offer the information. He didn't say, hey, go look at this. I just didn't look it up myself. And not until later when things, I was like, why is he so mean to me? And I started looking things up. Then everything started unraveling. I didn't know nothing about no Goonie Goon squads, none of that. Yeah. I didn't know nothing about it. They on my trail, but I didn't know nothing about any of that. I just being blind and dumb and just taking stuff at face value.
Yeah. Yeah. So you did get yourself checked out just to be.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Well, absolutely.
Good. Yeah. What was the final straw that made you stop dealing with them?
The final straw was, of course, his daughter. That was the first one. Then we had another incident where, you know, he kept sending people in my space. That got out of hand. People were like calling me, sending me texts and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know anybody in Philly. So these are your people. And then I started watching your videos and I started, matching it up with what I seen myself. And I was like, oh God.
Yeah. And I should mention too, because people were asking about text messages. You did send me quite a few text messages over the last, I guess, couple of weeks. So I did receive those. Yeah. Some of that asked too.
Where Amber Rose had everybody.
I remember that.
Yeah, everybody. I have all of that stuff, and then he sends this stuff to me. So, and then I've seen things myself. I've seen what women have sent him. I'm just waiting on them to pop. I don't know why these women have not came out and came forward, especially with the situation with his daughter. I know about you. You don't know about me, but I've already seen everything. So
there are women who've come out in the past. Some of them I've actually interviewed, and I would welcome any other woman if you have experience with Umar, men for that matter. you can reach out to me and I'll have you on. Again, I'm not here to say that everything that you're saying here is factual, but it does line up with my research. And since you've dealt with them personally, and I actually do believe you in terms of you dealing with them personally, I think that there's credibility here that people should at least consider. Someone that asked a question, I know this may sound a little petty, but did Umar stink when you dealt with him?
No, he didn't smell wonderful either. But I felt like, he wasn't like, ooh, oh my God. Like, it wasn't one of those. It wasn't one of those. And I'm a tourist. So I just, I'm very big on the smells and all that. But he wasn't anything like that. Of course, we took care of ourselves, like when at the room and stuff, like, and I'm OCD about my body. That's why the hidden colors that sent me through the roof. So he got like a 10-page dossier on that. I mean, he knows about how I am about my body, about bodies, period, even his mother's body. And I'm a very clean person. I do not play around, and I don't do. But he didn't have like that smell, like. But he didn't smell like a fat. He didn't smell like he looks. I'll just say that.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
He did not smell like he looks.
I'm only asking because
he do look like it. I know my mom looked at me like, you playing. This is not the guy. I was like, yeah.
Someone, James had asked, I don't know if Umar had mentioned me or anything, but did he say anything about me, and what did he think about me if he did?
Oh my God, I got a text about you, but I didn't send it because I did give him the text talking about, Lenore, I was calling you Lenore. I was like, Lenore was right about you. Look at all this shit I went through, and I sent him so much stuff. And when I go into that, he goes quiet. He stonewalls me, and then he'll come out of it. But he was like, let me tell you what he said. Oh God, don't make me say it. I hate saying bad things about people. But he was like, I said, do you have a 20-year-old baby mother? And who is LenonHonor? And then he said, good girl every day, beautiful. I need you to relax 1 month at a time, please. Bring your... And then he asked me about a damn vest. Hold on. He said something about you being gay and messing with little boys. And I was just like, okay, that doesn't sit right with me, because anytime you're going to if you're going to attack a man, you're going to say he's either gay or he's a pedophile. So that just immediately crossed that out. I said, okay, he's cool. I can go there. Cause I wanted this to be, and I seen you report with some type of decorum, some kind of integrity. It wasn't about, trying to just be, catching clout. And I can't explain to y'all how much I feel bad that I didn't do something or come out when the situation was going on with the baby mothers and Anissa. I felt like I'd be overstepping if I walked into it trying to grab the spotlight. You know what I mean?
I understand. Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to speak up and be like, no, fat bastard, that's not what happened. This is what happened, and you know it.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, is it safe to say you don't care for him these days?
I haven't cared for him for quite a while. I honestly wanted to get more information, like undeniable. This is him. What are y'all going to do? Pick a side right now, because this man cannot keep going on, because he's trying to team up with Traore, and I did not want to see that happen.
Yeah, who's Traore?
Ibrahim Traore is over Burkina Faso.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I didn't want him dragging his smut into that arena, because that could possibly affect Ibrahim's image. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For whatever he's trying to do. I don't want to see Umar next to anybody, because it will tarnish. And I got to tell you this, Lena. When the tragedy happened with the little boy, the 12-year-old little boy, I was talking to his grandmother, both sets of grandparents. They were trusting me. We were talking, and I was talking to them sincerely. I told Umar, I called Umar, I was like, oh my God, you're not gonna believe what happened. He was like, what? And I told him, this fool got off the phone with me and put it up on Instagram. He did not care. He didn't care about
what
those
did he put
people.
up? What did he put up?
He put out a conspiracy theory, even if that was what we were thinking, or probably. Why would you do that to the family? Why would you just put that out there to attach their I don't know, he's just insensitive. He didn't let me ask them. He just took it and used it for clout. And that's not the only thing.
No, he's done that a lot. Yeah.
So they told me, you don't care nothing about that little boy. He was a 12-year-old little boy, and you don't care nothing about him or the situation, even from a psychology aspect. He wanted to use it to, oh, they were messing with me, and this is how.
Yeah, and there are people who tuned in later. So, and I know you referenced this earlier. Can you just tell briefly what took place with that little boy?
We had a event. He was a fabulous. He wanted to be the attorney general. He was 12 years old. His name is McGhee, and he had a father that possibly was tormented. He unalived him, his mother, and himself. It was a Black family that was in the city. That will let y'all know what city I'm in, but I'm not going to say it. But the city where I come from, the father was me and him were going to work together on a few projects. I never saw any of it coming. I don't know what happened. It was just like he was there one minute and he just snapped, and that happened. But Umar had to take this and use it as a way of twisting it back on himself.
Mm-hmm.
He completely discounted the little boy. He didn't even remember him.
Yeah.
So,
he has a history of that. It's sad. Did Umar ever tell you to not talk about your relationship with him?
He told me never to go to an event. He told me not to go to the events. I think that there are many women like me that are probably across the United States and the continent of Africa, but he told me not to go to the event with like this. Like, don't come like that girl in Savannah. But I told my mom kind of knew, because I said something to him in the room, and he was like, well, what is your mom worried about? I was like, well, I'm traveling by myself, and I'm a woman. He said, tell your mom you with me and you're fine. And I was like, okay. So he didn't really care, but I don't know. He didn't really care about anything until it was me doing anything. Like, he didn't want me talking to men or anything like that.
Just a couple more questions. You still got time? Because
yeah.
Okay. Is Umar her paid caregiver under the waiver program in Pennsylvania?
I think that he is. I think he pays you out of his time when he steps to the side and goes to like an event or something. Mm-hmm. So they think he's probably there all the time, and then when he gets his payment from the event, he kicks you out the money, but he keeps the money that they send him as the caregiver.
Yeah. And I stated that years ago that was probably what was taking place. He has so many aliases too. Who knows what name he's using?
Oh my God, yes, he does. Mm-hmm. Even the way that he acts, I almost thought, I was like, this ain't no way this man has 6 degrees or 5 degrees. There's no way that he has this many degrees. Possibly he done got somebody's name and did some fraud and took their name or some way, I don't know, but maybe he does. With all the information you brought through, I know now that he does, but I'm thinking at that time, because he's just not that bright. Like, I don't think he could go into a kitchen and make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, by himself without monitoring.
No, I can see that. Or do you have any concerns about you being defamed online by you speaking about this? Because Umar knows who you are. He'll
Yeah.
know. And he
Mhm.
has a habit of, as an example, if someone sends him a text message,
Mhm.
excuse me, and it says something that he doesn't like, he'll
Mhm.
post the text message and include the person's phone number. Are you have any fears about that?
No, I mean, if somebody, the way that house looked, there's not too many things after seeing that home that anybody can say about me.
Mm.
After seeing the conditions that, it's just pure squalor. There's nothing I could feel bad about, and I don't do anything wrong anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an online type of person. I don't have a following, or I'm not. I try to move under real stealth because, like I said, he's not the only known person I know and I deal with. But even if he did, I don't give a damn about all of that. There's I've been, worse things have been said about better people, so
No, I understand. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. But you have courage. I'll tell you that. You have my respect for coming out and speaking about this for sure.
he's not as big and bad as people think.
Oh, I know. I know.
I
He's
think you get
marshmallow.
it though,
Yeah.
Lennon. You
Yeah.
get it. Some
Yeah.
people think that his followers are not that bright. Um, and I told him, I've always said if you're gonna pay attention to people, look in the comment section, look at the type of people that follow them, and they're not putting two and two together.
Hmm.
And he's not trying to educate them. If you go, he does a lot of conspiracy theory. And I've told him, why don't you try to give them some type of substance? And he doesn't have it in him.
Hmm.
If you look at those parenting conferences where he's on the phone, I could give them people better advice than that,
Yeah.
than what he's giving them. He's not stating any rocket science. I bought the book before I started talking to him. I got the book. I read through it. This is all available to Black people in their school district. The only difference in that book is that it says the Black parent, advocate. There's nothing in there profound that they can't get from the Ideal Act. Read the
Hmm.
Ideal Act.
I have just a few more questions. Going back to his mother, if the bathtub is upstairs and she's unable to get up there, how does she get real baths? Does she just not get real baths and just wipe downs?
With him having a back problem, I don't think he's carrying her up there. I know
No,
that.
he's not. Yeah, he's not. Definitely not.
Yeah, I know that button, the lift thing. You see elderly people sit on and carry them up the steps. She hasn't been in one of those. I think that she is just getting hand baths.
Hmm.
She should be submerged in water at some, point. And that's why I have the text messages I sent to him. Let's get her a portable tub. It's very easy. This way she can even get some, get some time in the tub. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if she does physical therapy. She needs physical therapy. She has an arm that's clenched tight. She just, I don't know. She needs, for the time that I'm there, there's not anyone coming in. He said that she has multiple sclerosis or cirrhosis. So sorry. And it might be that, but that doesn't contest for her sundowning. She's sundowning at times, and he's like, "Oh no, that ain't what it is." I'm like,
What does that mean, sundowning?
that's like when Alzheimer or dementia go through a time where they kind of revert back, where they have, it's kind of like their mood changes. I don't know why it happens. I'm not real familiar with it. I know my grandmother had it, and it's identical to what his mom is going through. It's almost
Mm-hmm.
like she's not in the present, she's in the past. Like when I would be changing her, she was like, just wait on the doctor. I think she thinks she's going through labor. And if she believes honestly that that's what she's going through, can you imagine keep putting her through that? And she's screaming and yelling and fighting. And I'm like, just trying to talk her through it. I try to count her down. I said, okay, we're going to count. I'm not a health profession. I just did the best that I could. I said, you know, we're going to count it out. And she would count with me. It would keep her mind off of me wiping her up because I had to get her clean. And 2 hours later, you know, I get her clean, get her happy, back where she's at. And 2 hours later, you're putting her back in that's torment. I don't know. That's just how I feel.
And when you say putting her back, what would she be? What is it? A bed, a couch? What would that be?
She sit in her chair and watch. She loves horror movies. She loves horror movies.
Yeah,
like
well,
Umar stuff, and I was like, all right.
Yeah, but Umar, he stated that he's. I have him on the interview where he says he likes to watch movies, and his favorite is horror movies.
Yeah, that might be his favorite. I don't know if that's her favorite, but it might be. You know, but I did what he told me to do, and I put on a horror movie. I'm gonna tell you something else about Umar. If Umar knows that you care about someone, or you are taken to somebody, he will take them away from you. And that's exactly what he did. He took her. And the last, I knew he was going to do it because that's just the evil that he does. And just like with the boot camp, I was supposed to control the boot camp. And I had people wanting the boot camp, and then he took it. And then I was supposed to do the furniture and I took a lot of time putting together the furniture for FDMG, and then he took it. And then he put me on the project with his mother, and I'm working with her, and I'm thinking about all the stuff we're going to do the next time I go out and all these other things. And I got an inkling in me. I said, Siobhan, if he sees you on that camera and y'all laughing and y'all having fun and you're cool, he's going to take her. And that's exactly what he did. It wasn't nothing wrong or anything. It's just him. He made that whole situation bad. So he took her. And I started sitting with my laptop at the table, and I would talk to her from there, and he couldn't see me on camera. And she do this thing. She'd be like, hello, like when she wants your attention, and you'd be like, yes. And then, you know, you start talking, but I never sat in there with her anymore, like laughing and joking, because he would take her. And that's what he did.
Yeah, possessive. You said earlier, that the SETI rant was Umar on 5. What do you mean by that? 5 out of 10?
Yeah, 5 out of 10. That's him on 5. He's like the type of person, and you know, it'd be like he bites himself or something. Like he reminds me of those people that are not checked in very well. He has some serious mental health issues. Serious mental health. And he doesn't care that you know. And now his following and the worship is I'm Black Jesus. I'm RB Jesus. Who cares? I'm Jesus. Who are you? He does not care. I'm thinking that he's going to get to a point where he's going to try to get a cult. Like he's going to get people to join up, and they would follow. Because he asked me to get a house. He wanted me to get a house in one of the states up there, and I was going to do it, you know, because I was ready to move where I was, and I was leaving the job that I'm at, the career I'm at, to try to focus on this other project I'm working on. And I was like, yeah, that'll be great. I'll take care of his mom. I'll work on my project, and he'll be out. He's not going to be there that much. So, but he very much wants to have his own community. He's a very X you out. You can't sit with us. He's like a person that will, he gets pleasure from that. So I don't know if that happened to him when he was a kid or something or what, but he's like, you're out of the kingdom. You're out of the queendom. That's what he said the first time I got in trouble by him. He was like, oh yeah, you out the queendom. And I was like, okay, fine. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But he's very, I don't even know what that's called when people just want to, like, you can't sit with us. You're out our club. You're not in our club type of person. So that's just.
Yeah. So real quick, when you said maybe it's something from childhood, was there anything that he told you, excuse me, that he told you specifically about his childhood dealing with any type of trauma, relationship with mother, relationship with father?
Just what the mama said when she said she broke his thumb.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if
I noticed that though too. At least one of his thumbs, it goes way out this
way
way.
back, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way that he lives and he's okay with living, the abundance makes me think that possibly he did not have a whole lot growing up.
Mm-hmm.
The only people that I know that do stuff like that are people that have not had a whole lot growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And none of this is like, it should be a shocker to him because I've told him all of this. I've told him everything that I feel, he just doesn't want to, he has an avoidance about things. He doesn't want to deal with it. He doesn't want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Has he ever talked to you about his father?
Not in other than like saying he don't deal with him or he don't fuck with him. Excuse me, I'm sorry. You know
No,
what
it's
I mean.
fine. It's fine. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like stuff like that. Just comments, but not anything like, hey, come in and sit down and listen to what happened to me in my childhood. I don't think that kind of stuff he's very guarded with.
Mm.
But he uses the same talking points. So you think that you're really getting this is another thing about Umar. Umar will use like certain talking points with you to make you feel like you're getting an in-depth look at him, but those aren't the in-depth looks. He just uses them to manipulate people. Like, oh my God, we're getting so close. You're opening up about this. That's something he really don't care too much about.
I have about 6 more questions.
Okay.
So dealing with his mother again, someone that asked earlier, when he's away, because he travels a lot, who's there to take care of the mother?
He has what do you call those? A care service. They bring or send him aides, or then he gets them private.
Okay.
I do know that when I cook her food, she would be very skeptical about what's in it or can I eat this. She was always checking her food. And he was very obsessed with witches. Like, she's a witch. She's a witch. I think he's been bringing some questionable people around, like to maybe the women that he's finding are a certain type of religion, and she doesn't particularly care for it. So and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to put nothing in your food, babe. Go ahead and eat. I would tell her stuff like that and she'll eat. But I knew, like, she was even mushing up her shrimp. I'm like, why is she mushing her shrimp up first? It's like she's checking it to make sure there's not nothing foreign in it, like somebody's trying to, put a hex or, whatever on her. But that's where I think he's getting these women, because even the stuff that's going on, he's like, oh, I forgot that. He told me somebody stole his, and I don't know if he told me that because of where I work. He said, oh yeah, somebody stole my identity and filed the taxes. And I'm like, okay. Or he'll tell me like something else has happened. They stole this or they did this. The same way he says about the school. I think those are lies to try to cover up things that have happened.
Yeah. So real quick, someone that also asked, in terms of the arrangements, there are times where you were at a hotel, but there are also times that you were sleeping at the residence. Where did you sleep at the residence?
I could have slept up in his room, but I could do it. There's a chair, like a grandpa chair recliner right by his mom. And I used to sleep in that. I couldn't get in his bed because I didn't know when the sheets been changed. It didn't look, his room was effed up. He left a pistol on the dresser and I don't know if he forgot like who I was. I don't know if he was trying to intimidate me or what. But he left the pistol on the dresser, and I'm like, why would he leave a pistol out on the dresser? And I think it was to try to intimidate me because he does things like that. And his memory is very bad. His memory is terrible. So he might have been trying to like intimidate me. Like, yeah, he's a real, I don't know, but I didn't care about that. But I just wasn't getting in the bed because the room was all jacked up. There's clothes. He's got so many shoes and clothes. It's too much. It's overwhelming. I couldn't be in there.
Yeah, were the clothes washed? The ones that are piled up?
It's hard to tell, Lenon. It was just really hard to tell. It was like, he was probably doing the sniff test on some of that stuff. Like, it's clean enough.
Well, all right, I ain't gonna go any further than that. We leave that right there.
That's how I felt about the sheets. I was like, yeah.
You said the hotel. You said the hotel's all right, but this right here. I'm trying to lighten up the mood here. We're almost done, sis. Thank you so much for sharing this information. Do you think Umar's mother is the reason he is the way that he is, or do you think it is his father? Or do you think it's both?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I have not met his dad. I did see his dad showed up for the incident when he was on trial for his license. And I was like, wow, he showed up and he supported his son. And he's extra nasty to his son or to his dad. So I don't know if he is upset with him based off of him leaving them. His mom is a lot. His mom is off the chain. I mean, some of the stuff she said, I mean, we all have different mothers, but I've never heard my mom call nobody bulldoggers or nothing. Like, I don't know anything about it. Yeah.
Call what? What?
Like, bulldaggers or whatever. I don't.
What is that?
Bulldaggers. It's bulldaggers.
What is a bulldagger?
You know what a bulldagger is?
Mm-mm.
I think that's a stud, what we would call a stud now, but I don't use that. Yeah, she was like, the lady across the street is a bulldagger. And I was
I thought you said she was, okay. All right. So she ain't talking about Umar. I said, I said this interview went left real quick.
On the men on the television and stuff. She was always telling me how fine Umar. She's like, "Ooh, Umar's fine. He's fine, but he conceited though." And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "You gonna get a lot of money because Umar has a lot of money." And I was like, "Oh, okay, you gonna give me some money?" I'm just having conversations, but I'm also paying attention on what she's meditated on. I think by just even how the house is, how he is, I think that she did a number on him. And then also the other kids that she had, I think they're around, like even what I sent you, the brother.
Yeah.
He was like, don't make me go back to my old ways. Like he's like, I'm thinking, he's in the streets. He's doing the other type of work or something, So I don't know. I think that she's not like a church mouse. I know that. That's what I'll say.
And you did say earlier that she calls Umar Blackie and calls him, what else did you say?
What did she call him? Blackie. She's like, oh, here comes Blackie. We got to ask Blackie. And she does things, I think, to get him. I think she does things when she wants him, like her sliding down to the floor. I think she wanted him because he had been gone for 5 days. I think she wanted him to come back home. But when she got mad about me changing her, she was telling me, I think that's what they were talking to the other girls that were taking care of her. I think that she thought that was my source of income. And so she was like, you ain't going to get paid. You ain't going to be shit. She was just going in on me. I'm like, oh no. It's like, don't say that. She was like,
yeah. So you're saying that she probably thought that you were one of the assistants that would come in that Umar would hire, like from a professional agency. That type of thing?
She has, her mind is like, he's like the top tier And when he get in, he gonna shut everything down type of mentality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, well, we still got to clean you, you know, and she'd get upset about that. But I think that threat was intimidating the other workers, but it wasn't intimidating me because I wasn't there to like pay my bills. I was there as, you know, a help to her. But yeah, she was going in on me. She was swinging on me and everything else.
Oh no.
Yeah.
This sounds like a lot of dysfunction. So I had just a couple more questions, real quick.
Yeah.
Someone had asked, and just a follow-up question, because on one hand you stated that you didn't want to sleep inside of his bed at his residence, but then someone had said that you said that that you were laid up with him talking one time, but then yet you said that you didn't want to sleep in his bed. So where were you at when you were
we
talking?
were at the hotel with that.
Okay.
When the girl was in Savannah, I'm sorry. I'm kind
of you did say that. You said that. No, you said that. It's just
he was trying to play sleep when he was trying to play sleep, and I was trying to get him up to talk to him about this girl, and he didn't want to wake up. You know, he was up. But he was trying to avoid the situation. That's his thing, is he'll try to go to sleep. And then when you get him opening up, he just goes to 10. He also just moves like very paranoid. Like I was standing behind him because he was getting my my hotel room. And you know how you're looking in somebody's direction, but I'm not looking on your phone. And he was like, go sit down. He looked at me like, go and sit down. I was like, oh, okay. Like he has an idea that you're always trying to scheme and scam because that's what time he's on.
Yeah, paranoia too. Yep.
Yeah, very paranoid. Very paranoid.
How did you find my channel? Someone had asked.
My son sent it. He blocked my son. My son adored him, but he started waking. I kept telling my son when we were going up to Nebraska to pick him up, I was like, hey, don't lose your head. He's just a man. He's just a man. Don't lose your head. And then even when I was with him or whatever, I didn't tell my son, but I never really lost my head about him. I was just, I kind of let my heart feel sorry for him. You know what I mean? And that's where, but I think he blocked him on social media and he didn't even do anything to him. And then he tried to say he didn't know how to unblock him. I'm like, I'm not dealing with you until you unblock my son. Then he didn't unblock him. He said he was, and he never unblocked him. And then my son was like, I don't even want him unblocked. But to get to the point, he started seeing some things about him, you know, being a man, vetting a man. He's like, something ain't right, mama. And he started sending me these things. I would always like watch probably about 5 minutes, but I never got into it. I was like, I'm not watching this because it's negative. You know what I mean? And one time I just watched a whole hour and then I had to get off. And then I came back and I finished it up. I was like, he sees him. He sees what he is. No, you have a very good idea of who he is.
Well, I appreciate that. Just some final questions here, real quick.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah. And thank you so much. I don't know if you're okay with it, but people were asking if you had a Cash App that you can share. They want to send you support. That's totally up to you. The Cook Crush Chat's very supportive. If you do have a Cash App, you can let us know what it is, or you can email it to me and I can post it in the chat room. Or if after the show, if you want us to post your Cash App, I can put it inside the comment section and pin it to the top of the live stream. That's totally up to you.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. You're so welcome. You just have to send it to me. Either send it to me now. You can send it to, if you're in the chat room, you can post it.
You want me to put it in the chat?
Yeah, that's fine. You can put it in the chat room. Yeah, and then once you have it there, I'll be sure to
I know I'm long-winded, but this is like, It's a lot of
No,
emotional
no. It's
like,
okay. No, you're doing just fine, and I appreciate you. Very courageous for you to come out. And I've talked with other women who've dealt with Umar personally and privately, mostly offline. But for you to come forward online, very commendable. You have my respect. Okay.
I wish more with people, because I've already seen the text. I wish they would just come out, because this is the only way he's gonna be stopped. My fear is that he's going to get linked up, because before Shannon Sharp stuff dropped, allegedly, I don't know how to do that, but you could clean that up. But when that dropped, right, if you remember, right before Umar had a live, and he was playing around with talking about getting a young wife.
Yeah.
I think he wanted possibly me to be the older wife and bring in a younger woman, but I am not, and there's nowhere that he can provide I've ever, either on the phone or off the phone. He said he wanted to marry me based off of taking care of his mother. And I was like, no. And as a matter of fact, I think until this time has passed, we need to even take the physical off of the table, because I don't want you to be weird about this. Because he kept saying, you're the only person ever been around my mom that I've ever touched. And I don't want you hurting my mom, and come and give me a hug, give me a kiss before I leave. So I don't want you hurting my. And I was like, I'm not that type of person. I don't want to deal with anything like that. Then he was starting with the other stuff. When I got to Philly, Philly is a beautiful place. The people, I know it gets a bad rap, but just walking around in the streets and stuff, the people are very friendly. I had men, say things to me playfully. And, I play back. I'm a friendly person. I don't have any issues with being kind to people. None of it was, weird or odd, even for me walking as a woman alone, just playful banter, like stuff. And he would get irate. He was like, quit talking to me, and why are you out of your room, and why are you doing this? And he wanted to give me an itinerary, of what to do when I was there. And he's like, you're not going to lay in a room all day. You're going to go do this. He's a very, very big control freak. And that's when, women get that Casanova type of vibe. That's when he's in an act. He's not like that. If he has his eyes on you, he's not like that. And a lot of people like, well, he wasn't like girls from my job, and then I went through that. Y'all don't know how it is dealing with people that are obsessed with him. And then I brought him here. So people are constantly coming up to me about him. Some people don't like him. They came for me about that. And I'm not a person that's big on division. But I did want people to accept it for, for what it was. And I've been through hell. And then when you don't like somebody and they're everywhere, you know what I mean? You got to deal with that too. But it's a lot.
Yeah, it definitely is. Real quick, I didn't see your Cash App in there, but if you're not comfortable with doing it now, that's fine.
Yeah, I can put it out, running my mouth.
Okay. No, that's perfectly fine. I have to ask, just for clarification.
Yes.
Does Umar live stream based upon the forensic evidence? When I show videos of Umar live streaming in different locations in his mom, at least I say it's his mama's closet. It could be the laundry room, and there's no based upon the layout that I saw online, it could be that there's no wash machine or dryer in there. And you did say that he actually outsources the washing of clothes. Does he live stream in different locations in his mother's house, or just one location?
I think, that he does not do when anyone's there. So he does not do that when anybody's there. But I honestly believe that's either in his room, maybe tucked in the corner. And I would tell y'all what's in the corner, but you're not going to know because you ain't been in there. There is
what's in the corner? What's in the corner?
It's a gorilla.
You got to be kidding me.
What? It's a gorilla sitting on top of a pile of clothes. I
What?
That is the King Kong.
What?
Dang.
What in the world? How big
Yep.
is this gorilla? Is it a small gorilla, medium? What?
It's a medium-sized gorilla. It really takes you off. Like, I went to the door because I didn't know, to be quite honest, I didn't really know. This was the first time I was there about, excuse me, I got cameras. And I was like moving around the house and stuff. And so I just went to the door and I looked in. I wasn't going to go in there looking around anyway because it was a mess. But I looked to, left, and I, looked at the dresser, and I had the gun on there, and I'm like, wow. And then I looked the other way, and it's a gorilla sitting on top of a pile of dirty clothes.
Oh my goodness.
Or clothes.
What else is in that room, by the way?
Y'all, he is a true Leo. So if you know Leos, they buy like little trinkets, like they impulse buy. So they're like, just imagine every time somebody goes somewhere, they buy things. And then not only does he buy like one, he might buy 4 or 5 or 6 of them. Mm-hmm. People send him stuff. He has clothes out of this world. It's just like mountains. I couldn't even tell you how many clothes, things that you've seen, like that are the red, black and green jacket was in there. It's just a huge array of stuff. And his mother has just as much stuff. So she's a hoarder too. I think that she's a hoarder too.
I thought that too.
Yeah. And I could tell by the things, and I'm not passing judgment because, his brother lived there before him with her. So he could have got rid of stuff, or, he could have did whatever. So I'm going to think that the whole family is, because if the brother was okay with the house looking like that and he lived there, he got to be a hoarder. But there are things there that also there are things that are missing that are, for people that keep house. If you keep house, then you have certain things that are in every woman's house, or most women's house, I should say, and it's not there. Like there's just certain things that aren't there. So it's like it's limited with the things that they need, but it's plentiful in product. So that lets me know you don't know what to buy. You're just buying things. You know what I mean? So there is a ton of hygiene product, ton of product to clean with. Though I don't think he cleans. I think he just buys things to buy it. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know what to buy when he goes grocery shopping. He doesn't buy things for like a meal. He just buys everything. He has a ton of snacks in there, like a ton. That was the only thing that kept me on that 5-day jam up, because it's like he just has a ton of sweets in there. Mm-hmm. Ton of sweets. But he doesn't have things that he should have. Like, he wants you to cook these meals, and I'm like, you don't have everything that you need for a balanced meal. He wants you to fix what he wants her to eat, but you have not taken upon yourself to make her out a meal plan. You don't take it upon yourself to even make out. And here's the thing, the whole thing about me keeping her, he gave me like an hour rundown, and it wasn't even an hour. It was a 30-minute rundown of how to take care of her. And I told him, let me come over, before, so I can watch you. I can see how this is done. He didn't want that. If he really cared about her, he would have been like, oh yeah, come over here. You're about to watch. But he said he wanted to clean up the house before I got there. But it didn't look like he cleaned up, not to my specifications. And I have teen boys, so I know an attempt. He didn't have an idea. He doesn't know how to clean.
Mm-hmm. No, I know that already. Know that.
You can look at somebody and be like, you ain't never cleaned up, have you? And I would have got the house completely together. I mean, like, if he wasn't nasty, I would have got all of that together. But he didn't want anybody, he's attached to it. I threw the cereal bowls in the, okay, so minimalism, you know, when you start that, you have a test box. I put it in there and I threw certain things that you could possibly live without. But if you have to go in there, you know, and get it, then it's probably not something you need to chuck. And he had 18 bowls. So I took and left 4. There's only 2 people living there. So I took, you know, I took some of the bowls and minimized them down and put them in a box. He was like, oh, no, we ain't getting rid of this. We ain't getting it. And I was like, okay, so you can't live without these useless bowls that you don't. Okay, not a problem.
You're a hoarder.
Yeah, he very much. And he's psychologically, he came at me like I was trying to take his kids. And I'm like, I wouldn't. He was like, you threw it away. I know you threw it away. And I was like, no, I never would throw anything. That's why I have a box here. It's a test box. If you can't handle it, then we will try somewhere else. I didn't know how hoarders were until I met him. I come from a long line of clean women. We keep house. That's what we do. And I told him I've been keeping house since a very early age. I know what I'm doing. You got too much food in this ice box. You can't even turn it over to see what you got in there to eat. And then the stuff don't match. And the ice box is filthy. If you drop something in the ice box, you got to throw it away. You know what I'm saying? Like if a shrimp fell out of the bowl, you know, and you know what you're trying to find a place. So what I did, I went in there, I chopped down all this fruit because he wanted her to be vegan. He wanted a vegan meal, and he wanted her to eat better. So I chopped up everything. I broke it all down, all that fruit that he bought. He didn't know what he was buying. He was just buying anything in there with it. And I chopped it all up. I bagged it up or put it in containers so that I could compress the volume. And he had like 4 heads of lettuce in there. I chopped them all up. Now, mind you, there's nowhere in the kitchen to even chop. There's nowhere you can chop this stuff up. And then I put the lemon juice on it so it wouldn't wilt. I put some in a bag and some of it in a bowl with a top on it for easy access. He didn't want none of that. I was like, you don't know what you're doing, you know, but he don't want you coming in there doing anything. So you let him have it. I got tired of fighting with him. He's smart. He thinks he's smart about everything across the board, and you have no value. No value. And I think I'm one of those people that common sense, I know a little bit about something enough to hold a conversation. And he's the type of person that he doesn't like that. He does not like that. He doesn't want you to know more than him or know better than him. Like when I told him about the chemicals in the school, like you can't put bleach on them floors. You're going to tear up those floors. He didn't like that.
Did you ever visit the school?
I did on my own, but we ain't gonna tell him that. I did on my own.
He know now. He watching right now. I guarantee it.
I was there when he locked. I was there at the house with his mother. It's kind of crazy. I was always there at the house with the mother when all of these things happened. But when he locked himself out of the school and was waiting on the locksmith, I was at the house with his mom. So, and he's like that because he moves faster than his brain does. And he won't slow down. And then with the substance, added to it, that's why that school got vandalized. I do believe, this is what I do believe too. I do believe he has some books of value in that school. Because you got to think about the amount of money that man has had in his interests. Like I've seen stuff online for Garvey that's like $5,000, just memorabilia. And he's done snatched it up. But he doesn't have the mindset, oh, okay, this is rare. Let me put this in an air-controlled facility. Or, let me make sure I preserve it correctly. It's an investment. Or let me get insurance on it. because this is, valuable. He doesn't have that type of insight or foresight, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
He's a
Is there anything?
nincompoop.
Yeah, is there anything? And I just have three more questions. Is there anything that we don't know or that we haven't talked about dealing with FDMG that you know that you would like to share about FDMG?
No, not other. I'm trying to think back because we done talked about so much. I know that there are some people I know that they posted the inside. Well, he got mad at me because I posted some pictures. This is actually the first time he snapped off at me. Somebody had posted the inside of the school during paint day. He didn't want anybody knowing. They posted it all on Facebook. So I took all of them off and I sent them to him. And I said, did you want these up? Because he didn't want nobody. No, where'd you find them? And I said, well, they're online. He doesn't articulate what he's trying to say. And I kept sending him pictures. And he's like, will you just take a picture of the damn Facebook page? And he's like, oh, that's the guy that did security.
Mm-hmm.
But he went off on me, but he didn't bring that energy to the mail. So I was like, you're one of those. You got energy for me, but you don't have energy for him. Okay. So that incident happened. Then we talked about the school needing furniture, but he brought that up. I knew the school wasn't nowhere near at the time that it needed to be decorated with furniture. He has things out of row, and I tried to offer to him that I have friends, that have done these things, not as a flex, but because I've been in a position that I know how to build things, and you are not going about this the correct way. And he didn't want to talk about it. I think he knows that was another way that I felt reduced in the space. And even with the boot camp, he was giving me a hard time, like he needed a whiteboard. And I'm like, we can rent one of those, we can rent it from a company that'll wheel one in. Are you sure? Are you sure that they can? Yeah, I've done. You know how many, I work in a department, trust me, I know what I'm doing. I don't even want to go through all of the things that I've done just to prove to you I know what I'm doing. But even just on those fool's errands is what I call them. He'll send you on them. You'll complete the task. He still ain't came back to me and asked me, hey, where's that furniture I told you to find out about, or what information that I told you to look up, or the caterer or anything. He doesn't come back to you and get it. So you've worked, you've done your due diligence, and he's out in la la land.
Mm-hmm.
And then the problem, he's going to get these wives that he thinks that he's going to put them to work. He burns you out because he keeps sending you on these things that have not been thought out. They're not, and I don't play. I get busy. So when I go in to attack something, I don't have all the information. It's just all over the place. It's not pulled together. It's a fool's errand. And if he gets 2 women, you'll see they're going to validate everything in less than a year. He doesn't have the ability.
2 more questions. Did he ever mention how much money he received in donations, or did he ever talk about donations?
No.
Okay.
He never told me anything about money. I think I got with him at a different phase of the donations. I didn't get him. I wasn't with him in the heyday.
Yeah.
Because I can see the remnants of his kicking it in that house. I'm not going to put anything on anybody, but I know that there are some women that have ran for office, or not office, but a seat, or campaigned for something in government. And I wonder if some of the money went there. I don't know if the family took a hold of some of them. I don't know. But he's got some type of authority. And usually that authority over siblings comes as being the person with the bag.
No, I understand that. Yeah, I can definitely see that with Umar. Plus, he's the oldest son.
Yeah. And there's a reason why they're not coming out and speaking. If y'all getting in drag out fights, then how come these people are not stepping up and saying certain things? when it comes to your daughter. You know, he
Mm-hmm.
got some kind of control. Like they don't want to step on his toes because they think they're gonna miss the bag or something. I
No,
don't
I
know.
agree. No, I believe that too. I talked about that years ago.
Yeah.
Last question here, if you don't mind. Did he
Yeah.
say anything about his children or about his baby mamas?
Oh yeah. He told me in the hotel room and got mad at me. I think he got mad at me because of something that happened the very first time we met. But he told me, he said, my baby mother is trying to get me for child support. And I said, well, pay her. You know, pay her in bulk.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, he didn't say nothing. And then I think he said something to the effect of, I gotta go to court, but I'm not gonna go. I said, well, why aren't you gonna go to court? He didn't say nothing. He went on and kept watching a movie. This is when that series came out with he's a dark guy with a beard. It was a series on Netflix, and he was like on it. He was watching it all day long.
I know what you're talking
And
about.
then
Mm-hmm.
he ended up in trying to say that the man, that was his life. And I'm like,
Yeah, he
come
did.
on, man.
Yeah, he sure did.
I had to take the phone and pause it. I was like, are you paying attention to me? Because he just really was not paying attention to me. But I said, marry her. Why not marry her? You want two wives? There's your two wives. Each one got a, you know. And he was like, shut up. He just said it like I'm not lying. He just said it like that. And I didn't say nothing. I just was like, well, shit. I mean, I don't want you. Not like that. I know what comes with being with you. But that's really what it came down to. But I knew by how those women were acting, I knew that he had done some vicious things to them, especially with them having the baby. I just assumed it would be very much like me taking care of his baby. That's his mom.
Yeah, so you're talking about his baby mamas. You talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
if they had his daughters, that would bring out the same type of Umar, and that,
Nah. Mm-hmm. I see.
that is the vicious person. It's bad person.
Mm-hmm.
So I can just imagine why they cut it and left and didn't look back. I don't hold any ill will towards those women. When he sent those his people, his followers on that woman, well, first I asked him, I said, well, how come nobody can see your kids, or why you're not with the kids? And he's like, oh, I'm a revolutionary. People are after me and all this other stuff. And I was like, okay, well, I can see that. But why would you send the same people towards your baby's mom? They could possibly hurt her, and she could have your daughter with her at the
Mm-hmm.
time. Why would you
Or
do
the
that?
grandmothers. Mm-hmm.
Or the grandma or the mom, yes, because they work together in a restaurant, I guess.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that let me know, like, when you get mad, you get hateful. The gloves come off. And then looking at how Anissa was, I was like, yeah, no, I don't. But no, he never said anything. Even he never gave me his opinion on dealing with Anissa. But I told him how to handle that situation. He did the opposite, the complete opposite, and he ended up doing the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. One last question here,
mhm.
and then we'll close this out. Did you ever take any pictures with Umar or any videos while you were with him?
Oh God, I did, but not
Okay.
in the personal space. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I I took pictures when we had the event. They're horrible. If y'all find them, good luck. But they're horrible.
Well,
I was
what you
running
can do
all
is,
around the theater trying to get
yeah,
things done. I didn't even get
don't worry
prepared.
about don't
Let me
don't worry about
explain.
that.
but
You ain't got to explain nothing.
but yeah, we took some pictures, but I never, after event, I never clouded off of it. I never posted the pictures. People asked me about it, and I told him I didn't want to be publicly aligned with him.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been, hell bent on that. I don't want to be aligned to you publicly. And a lot of that is too because I do, like I said, I work with people in a personal capacity in other areas, and they're known. And I just didn't want to be aligned. I didn't want to answer any questions or anything like that, but
Mm-hmm.
I did. If you find them, you find them. But I ain't gonna
Okay.
give them to you.
Well, let me say this, sis. I want to thank you for sharing this, and very courageous on your part. There are plenty of other women who have dealt with Umar personally and privately that has all
Oh,
types of stories that they could share. Some are afraid to share those stories. I'm sure that there are some who would like to, but maybe they're not familiar with my platform. If there's any women out there who would like to come on and share, you can always reach me at LenonHonor@yahoo.com. I'll vet you first and have you on. I want to thank you so much for sharing, Lene, what you have shared here here in the Cookie Crush chat.
thank you.
Maybe in the future, if there's more information that you'd like to share, we can do a follow up. I just want to tell you that you have to understand that and be prepared that Umar, he will see this. He's probably watching it right now.
Yeah,
And knowing Umar, he will do any and everything to disparage you. And
yeah.
the way that Umar's worked in the past is he'll post, maybe your name, because I'm sure he knows your legal name. He'll post your phone number. And that's his way of trying to get his followers to attack the people who are telling the truth about him. I just want you to be
Well,
prepared
for
for that moving forward.
everyone that contacts me, I just want to let it be known. He knows what I got. And for everyone
Uh-oh.
that contacts me, they're going to get a nice surprise
Mm.
because I'm not playing with Umar, and I don't play about, I have kids I'm protecting in my home. I have an artillery in here. People know me in the city. They know how I get down. I don't play about my safety. I'm registered. I'm ready. So if you feel like you want to, get behind this man's mission and lose your life, then you come on my property.
There you
And
go.
for anybody else, just respect. That's all it is. I'm not trying to tell anybody not to follow him. You're going to have to see the light for yourself. But when I have to protect my kids, that's the only thing I'm worried about. And as far as with him, I'm not too worried about him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, thank you for sharing your light during this live stream, and maybe in the future we can have you back. I really do appreciate it, Lene.
Yes, sir.
Much respect to you,
Thank you,
much
sir.
love to you, and
Thank you.
continue with what you're doing. I appreciate it, sis.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.